Matt from Out of the Image here. Hi folks, just want to give you some more my observations from shooting with the D3100. If you know from reading the blog, I picked it up a few weeks ago now. I've been shooting with it, posting some comparisons and some evaluations on various things. Basically, what I want to talk about is the D90 over the D3100. Getting a lot of questions between the two of them, especially as the D90 is coming in at some pretty competitive pricing right now. Here's my D90, and it's got the 50mm F18 D lens on it, the AF D lens. And here we have the Nikon D3100. That's it right there. And that is the Nikon 70-300 AFS G lens on there. So the VFR version. So that's why she looks like she's got such a big formable cannon on the end of it. So basically, I'm going to give you some reasons why you still might want to consider using the D90 instead of the D3100, especially if it's going to be your only camera. There's a few reasons why you might want to buy the D90 and not the D3100, even though the D3100 is a newer camera. Now, granted, I want to just put it out there that this is not an apples to apples comparison really, because the D3100 did not replace the D90. The D90 is being replaced by the coming D7000, which is going to be one heck of a camera. I have one of those on order, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you once I start playing with that and finding out everything that's great about that camera. So basically, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. The D90 is more full-featured camera. It was at a higher price point level, but kudos to Nikon, because the D3100 actually brings a lot to the party that you didn't used to be able to get at a $500 price point, or $600, depends on what you pay for this. I think they were $569 here in Canada. So basically, the big thing with the D90, one of the biggest reasons with the D90 why you might want to consider the D90 over the D3100 is exemplified by this lens right here, the Nikon 50mm F18 AF D. And actually that lens right there is probably almost enough of a reason right there to consider the D90. The 50mm F18 D is one of the best lenses in the whole Nikon lineup. Sharp as a tack, is dirt cheap, it's a little over $100. If you go to DxOMark, the website, and have a look, you'll see it ranks as one of the best lenses of their entire lineup. So it's a great prime, a 50mm on a DX 1.5 sensor like the D90 or the D3100. It's going to give you a field of view of about 75 millimeters. So perfect portrait lens. Very similar to the 85mm prime, which is a classic portrait lens a lot of folks like. With the D90, you can use this AFD lens. You can use any of the AFD lenses and get autofocus. The 50mm F18D, all of the 2.8Ds like the 20mm, the 24, the 28, all those AFD lenses work fine. You can use the 85 F18D, which is a fantastic value as well. It comes in at around $400 or $500, just depending on where you're buying it. So that's a big thing right there. If you like shooting with primes, if you want to use some of the older primes that aren't as expensive as a lot of the newer primes, that's the way to go, because the D90 allows you to maintain autofocus. The D3100 can only autofocus with the newer AFS lenses that have a built-in AFS motor in them. So your older AFD lenses, which are fantastic lenses but do not have a built-in motor in the lens, are not going to work on the D3100 for autofocus. You can still use them, but you have to manual focus. If you're like me, no, not going to manual focus anymore. I like my autofocus. So the D3100, that's a big thing right there. If you're into, if you have investments in the older glass, the AFD glass, the zooms, the primes, whatever, and you want to use your autofocus, a camera like the D90 or the coming D7000 is the way to go. The D3100 is not going to let you autofocus with those lenses. So for me, that's a big consideration. If it was my only camera, it would probably be the deciding factor right there. For me, I have the D90, I have the coming D7000 is on order, so I'll have one of those, and I have a D700 as well. So it's not a big issue for me, but if you're looking at one of these two as your only camera, that's a big reason I'd steer towards the D90 over the newer D3100. The other thing I find between the two of them, which is a huge consideration, is the LCD monitors on the back of these guys are both 3-inch monitors. So at first glance, people might think, oh, it's the same monitor, but it's not. The D3100, the newer camera, has a 230,000 pixel or dot resolution. At first, that sounds pretty good. 230,000. You're thinking that's pretty decent. The D90 has the top of the line Nikon 921,000 dot or pixel LCD monitor. So basically, you're looking at probably, I guess it's less than a third on the D3100 of the resolution of the D90. The D90's monitor at the 921,000 pixel resolution is tack sharp. You can zoom right into your photo and very quickly see if that's how your focus is, how sharp the image is. It's very nice monitor to work with. The D3100 is only the 230,000 LCD, and it's a little bit tricky sometimes to see how clear your focus is. Think of it as a TV that has your older tube TV with very low resolution compared to the newer 1080 HD TVs where you can see extremely good, clear, detailed picture. On TV, it's not such much of an issue, but it gives you the idea, because on the 3100, there's times when I'm looking at the image, I'm zooming in, and I still can't quite tell how sharp it is. In fact, I've shot some images and thought they weren't sharp enough, and once I load them into the computer and I look at them, I'm like, oh, that image is fine, but on the 3100's LCD, didn't look so good. So those are probably the two biggest reasons why you would want to buy the D90 over the D3100. There's a couple other little things. The other minor thing is the D90 allows you to adjust your ISO settings in 1/3 of a stop increments. I like that. That allows you to go from like 400 to 500 to 640 to 800. When you're in the D3100, it's in full stop increments to adjust your ISO. So you're going from 100 to 200, 200 to 400, 400 to 800, 816, and so on. This can be an issue sometimes as far as getting the best image quality. You want to keep your ISO lower. So you got more flexibility with the D90 with your ISO settings than you do with the D3100. Other than that, the other thing, which is more of a personal observation, is the autofocus on the D90, I think, is a little bit faster. On paper, I think they use the same 11-point autofocus system, so I was expecting the 3100 to be pretty much on par with the D90, and for most things it is. The D3100 does have a very nice autofocus system. It's best in class. It's probably the best autofocus system out there at anywhere near that price point. However, I think the D90 gets it just a little bit, probably in low light situations, in dimmer lighting. I think the D90 is just a tad better on the autofocus. That type of observation is hard to quantify, so I mean, come right out and say that. It's a subjective observation, but my feeling is that the D90 is just a little faster to autofocus than the D3100 is. And bear in mind too, the D3100 costs you a little bit over $500. When the D90 came out, it was between $1,000 and $1,200. So again, we're not comparing apples to apples here. If anything, all these comments are speaking to how great the D3100 is. But I just want to, bear in mind that there is a few things about the D90 or that class of camera that would make you want to purchase a D90 or the coming D7000 over the D3100. If these things are important to you, the ability to use the older AFD lenses, the ability to use, or the ability to have the better LCD monitor, which for me is a big thing. And again, I think the autofocus is just a little better on the D90. So that's it, folks. A few reasons right there, 3 big ones, or 2 big ones and a minor one, of why you might want to grab the D90 over the D3100. Actually, I guess that's 3 reasons and a minor one, because you've got the AFD lenses, you've got the better monitor on the D90, you've got the 1/3 ISO increments, and you've got the what I think is a little better autofocus on the D90. So come up, keep evaluating the D3100 for you. I'll have more articles posted on the blog, artoftheimage.com. So stay tuned, and we'll be updating you with more information on both cameras. And as soon as I get the D7000, I'll be letting you know some evaluations on that as well. Thanks.